with Bellman Woodworking Designs with me, Brent Bellman. Today we're going to show you how to make one of these, a bread box. So let's check it out and see how you can make one yourself.
Alright, so the first thing I did for this project was just to cut all the lumber down to size. I did use a 1x12, I believe it's 1x12 or 1x10, the large board from Lowe's or Home Depot. This is the non-knotty pine or premium pine, and cut everything down to size. So I modeled this whole project after a bread box that my dad had made a long time ago, and so I just copied that idea. I did look up some dimensions online and used that to kind of help form the length and width, height, and all that, just to make sure I was kind of following something that was standard. Now, something really important for this, for making the timbre, I only have a trim router, as you can see here in the video, and so I don't have the bushings like you would normally have on a regular larger router. They don't make anything for these, so instead I just made a jig to be able to follow the base of my router that I've got. So don't think if you don't have a router with bushings that you can't do this. Just make a jig like I did here, which is just a round piece of wood that follows the outline of the base of your router. And you can see I did make 2 passes, and I did this on both sides of the bread box because you're making a roll top, which is what's called the timbre. But you want to make it all in one cut, because I made it about 1/4 of an inch deep. So I made 2 cuts on each side when I did this to make the timbre, which, you know, this is the slot for that timbre to slide back and forth on. So again, you can make a jig. You don't have to have a special kind of router with special kind of bushings to do that. You can just make a jig yourself and use that to cut the grooves there that the timbre will slide back and forth on. So I think that was probably the most for me at, you know, I don't know, for this kind of woodworking project, but it's what I used to be able to make that. So from there, then it was on to kind of cutting everything else down to size and getting the right shapes. So here is where I took another piece of that board and started cutting all the timbres. So I cut these each to about 1 inch wide because I knew I was going to route them down. So I just took the board, cut it down over and over till I had all the pieces I needed. Again, this is built out of pine. Part of me considered building this out of a hardwood, but it's just a cheaper project to build it out of pine for anyone that's done woodworking that knows that. So, but just cut all these down and make sure to account to on this when you're doing it to leave enough length on each side to account for where the timbre will fit into the grooves on your bread box. So don't just cut it the width across, but leave that extra. I did 1/4 inch on each side for that. So for each piece of the timbre, I did then go and round over just the front edge. I did not round the back edge. I wanted all those edges to be flat so they would meet up for the cloth, because on the back of this, what you're laying is a canvas cloth. Some people call this a goose feather cloth. I don't know, there was some kind of weird name to it. I can't remember quite what that name was, but it's just canvas. Just go to a crafting store and ask them for canvas or any kind of canvas you could really put on there. I picked something that I thought would be somewhat neutral, but would still look nice inside of there. So for all those timbres, you can see I did cut the grooves there just by raising the saw blade and just cutting a little bit on each side. So here for the timbre, I'm going to make sure, and I'll post a link below. So if you're not sure what I'm doing here, this is the jig for that. So I'll post a link down below from the Woodworker's Journal. What you are doing is pressing all those boards together with some other boards down there at the bottom. So they are each cut at an angle, and when you push those boards together, it forces all of the other boards up together. So definitely be generous with the glue that you put down here, and then here's the canvas cloth that I put down. Make sure to smooth out any air bubbles as best you can, and then what you're going to do with that is take the iron and go over it, and that will help the glue set. But again, I'll post a link to this down below. You can click on and see the Woodworker's Journal right on there. So once it was all done, I let the glue dry only for about 10 or 15 minutes because you don't want it to somehow seal all the boards together or something seep through. So I did let it sit for about 10 or 15 minutes, trimmed off all the excess canvas, and then from there is where I took it to kind of bend it apart and make sure that the boards were sticking together. And a tip on this too, I don't think I showed this later on, was this actually on this timbre ended up having 2 pieces of cloth on it because after I stained everything, it definitely got on this cloth and made it look kind of gross, and so I went back and added another piece on top, just, you know, for the aesthetics of it, so it would look good when you open it up on the inside. So at this point, I'm cutting some of the wood either for the top, or there's actually a space at the top, or what would be the top that I wanted to have covered up. So I'd cut that wood there, and now I'm actually cutting the shape of each of the sides. I had left it square before because I just wasn't sure exactly how I was going to want that to look, but I did finally decide on that shape. and I cut it to as close as I could to the line on my saw there, and then I went to the bandsaw, and then from there I took it to the sander and sanded it down. So I did it on both sides. You can tell I made a line there, cut it again as close as I could with the bandsaw, and then sanded down to that line on each side. So here is, I took the top and the base and I cut them down a little bit so they'd be a little bit shorter. I had them a little bit too wide, and so cut it down. But again, you can always cut boards long, trim them down later, and that's typically how I do most of my projects. So this is the base, and again, I just rounded over the top. I did not round over the bottom. I wanted it just to sit flush. Now, here's something important that on the Woodworkers Journal that on their video they said to do, which was to round over the ends of your tambour just to help it slide better. So that's what I did. You can tell right here. I rounded over those edges just so there wasn't a square edge trying to roll back and forth through the slot cut in the bread box. So I did round over those edges. You could do that with a knife or something. Somebody may leave a comment on here saying that wasn't the right way to use a router, but that's what worked good for me. So as far as the back of this bread box goes, I originally wanted to use a whole piece of this pine board, but I just didn't have enough room left once I trimmed everything down. So I just ended up putting a piece of plywood on the back there, just 1/4-inch plywood, and that worked great. So I had cut it down, but then here, this was another tip that I picked up from the Woodworkers Journal, was to put paraffin wax on those edges of the tambour, the roll top, and that will help it slide back and forth. So this is bought from Hobby Lobby. Just kind of broke off a piece here and rubbed that on both sides, and that definitely has helped it kind of lubricate that, so the tambour will go easier back and forth inside of the bread box once it's all assembled. So definitely, you can maybe use something else, but the wax is what I use. So here we are back at the bread box. I'm putting on that back piece of plywood, that 1/4-inch plywood, and put everything together. This is basically a dry fit at this point, minus the glue, of course, but it's just kind of dry fit, put it together with clamps, and then fasten everything with brad nails. So I did 4 brad nails on each side. I did 3 here, and then of course there's a 4th brad nail running across the top once I put the very top of the bread box on. So this is that piece I showed you cutting earlier that I had a little gap there from the very top, and so I just put a piece to fill it in. That way the whole thing would look closed up and sealed up and there wouldn't be any gap. To me that looked better to see the roll top kind of vanish back into the box and then come back out. So that's just simply glued in place, and I think that'll be just fine. This isn't going to be a high stress piece. And same with the top. I debated about whether to put any dowels or anything like that in there. I ended up just gluing it down, clamping it down. It is held on by brad nails on the back. So after I did glue it and clamp it, it's got brad nails holding it in across the back. I think for as long as this needs to last, it'll be fine. It'll do its job and will work. And so that's how that's fastened on there. So here's those brad nails going across the back there. So for the bottom, I did countersink holes here. I did 3 on each side, countersunk holes there, and put screws going through into that. So that worked well. And then finally, the last step, of course, is the knob. So you can pick out any kind of knob you want. That's up to you. Put it on there, and it all works. So great project. I'm excited about how it turned out.
Alright, so here's the final product. It is all done and complete. The tambour does work, which is the most important part of this bread box making work. So that was awesome to see it all come together and see that it all works in the end. Really neat. One thing to think about when you make this is the type of jig that you're using. However you cut your lines here with your router, just make sure to account, and I didn't, I just got really lucky, that when your tambour closes, that your tambour does not stick out past the edge, or maybe you want it to, but just take into account where you cut your grooves here for the tambour to fit. I got really lucky that mine fits flush, technically just a smidge below there, but again, it worked out perfect. So just take into account for that. I didn't, it worked out for me. And this, I used a 1x12 or 1x10, whatever the board is from Lowe's or Home Depot. Use the entire width as far as on the sides go. So I just got lucky on that. But when you do this project, hopefully you don't have to just get lucky. Hopefully you'll take that for account and you won't have to worry about that. So anyhow, neat project. And for me it was great because that's something I've learned new about woodworking as far as making a tambour and binding the whole thing together with this canvas. I thought that was really cool. I know it's an older style and a bread box is something that's more old-fashioned. That's not something you see a lot of these days, but again, it taught me something that I didn't know about woodworking, and hopefully it can maybe teach you something about woodworking that you didn't know before. So, great project, neat build. happy with how it turned out, considering it's the first one I've ever built. You know, maybe there'll be more down the road that I build. I've got some people in my family that, more than one person that might enjoy having one of these. So I'm definitely pleased with how it turned out. So hopefully this has inspired you for the next project in your shop, in your garage, wherever it is that you're making stuff, and could be a neat project that you can also do. So thank you for watching this video. Thank you for watching all the videos that I do. If you like this video, do me a favor, hit that like button down below. Also, if you like the projects that I'm doing, if you like this video and you want to see more things like it, I do have more videos out there, but I'll continue to make more videos as time goes on. So if you want to know about those videos, you can click that subscribe button down below. That way you'll get notifications about all the projects and things that I'm putting out there, and that would be awesome. So be sure, again, like I said, if you haven't, check out the other videos I've got out there. I've got lots of other projects I've made. You can check those out and see about more stuff and more things and how to make all the stuff that I've got out there. So if you did like this video, I've got one more favor to ask besides clicking the like button and clicking that subscribe button, is take this video and share it out somewhere on social media. And it doesn't matter who you share it with, it doesn't even matter if you want to make one of these or not. If you just think, hey, this Brett Bellman guy, he's a cool guy, and I want to share this video, or hey, that's neat how he did that. Whatever it is, if there's anything about this product that you like, do me a favor and share this video with anybody. Share it as many times as you can. I would appreciate that. And do that for any video that I've got. Won't hurt my feelings. So take it and share it out there. I would just really appreciate that help and support for me. That would be awesome. So also, if you do want to support me, in other words, besides that, somewhere you can check me out on is Patreon. I'll put a link below to that. And that's a place where you can go and support me in the videos and projects and things like that that I'm doing. So definitely thank you for watching this video again. Thank you for watching the videos that I put out. And like I said before, I hope this inspires you for your next project. So until next time, be safe, keep building, keep learning.